So this is the first chapter, the first section of some channeling that I did with Master Hilarion. And this basically focused on the concept of the quantum field and how it works. And it'll start to set up how we begin to manifest, if you will, through thought within the field. So I'm going to read verbatim basically some answers that I was provided to specific questions that I was asking. So the first question I had is, Hilarion, please explain what the quantum field is and the interactions of electrons in the field. The quantum field or hologram is a large expanse of all that is, was, and ever will be connected through a multidimensional field of energy. The field is an energy construct in which intention or consciousness can influence into creation. Electrons, protons, and smaller quantum particles are directed to form geometric shapes based on the intention and the feeling of the consciousness source. As the source is or thinks, all in the moment is manifested. The consciousness will vibrate at a certain frequency that will manifest form to match the vibrational frequency. It's a construct that is not governed by time or space, but creates the illusion of time and space. The quantum field moves in and out of form based upon vibration. Parts of quantum material spin and then don't spin to move and move to match geometric shapes. These shapes are often manifest by devas, elementals, and beings. All is life and all is alive. The field is energy in motion in the construct. So let me unpack that paragraph a bit. So basically what he's saying is that we basically exist in a multidimensional field of energy, and that whenever we think, we have the ability to influence basically what we experience within that field. And I did some research around the same time and basically understood that there's this concept called the observer effect, which I encourage you to look into. That basically scientists were able to basically influence the outcome of experiments simply based upon their intention and their observation. So it really, scientifically has been proven to occur. The electrons, the protons, and the smaller quantum particles are directed to form geometric shapes. So basically, when we're in a field and we're creating a certain vibrational frequency, that frequency will have a sound associated that can be measured in hertz. And when we're doing that and when we're putting intention behind it, essentially that sound will work to create different geometric shapes into physical form. And while he doesn't cover it in this particular channeling that I did, there was another channeling that starts to dive into the concept of various experiments where basically sound frequency can impact the formation of different geometric patterns. For example, with sand that you can see on a vibrating plate, and I'll cover that in a future session if you haven't seen it by doing research yourself. So consciousness will vibrate at a certain frequency that will manifest form to match the vibrational frequency. And so the construct is not governed by space or time, but creates the illusion of space or time. So basically it's through our intention and through our vibration that we create the perception of visual matter, or kind of third dimensional reality that feels real and seems to be real, but is actually an illusion of energy and formation that is creating geometric patterns or shapes that seem to have certain, I guess you could say, substance to them, but they're quite energetic. The quantum field moves in and out of form based upon vibration. So again, the quantum field is constantly changing based upon the vibrational rate of the being that is emanating a certain intention or thought. And I think the last part that he gets into is basically part of the quantum materials spin and then don't spin and move to match geometric shapes. So basically what that means is that as we have a certain thought or intention, it's going to have an impact on the formation of geometric structures that start to create quantum material. And in our world, we're used to kind of knowing the basis of matter to be formed through atoms and electrons. And so essentially, those atoms and electrons will be basically rotating around, the electrons will be rotating around an atom, as I understand it. And based upon your vibrational frequency or your thought, they basically can blink in and out around that atom. And our intentions can actually create a different spin rate of that particular electron around the atom. So something that he does say at the end that we'll cover in another session is that shapes are often manifest by devas, elementals, and beings. So devas basically is the consciousness of basically atoms. Yeah, the consciousness of atoms is the best way that I can describe it. So you may not think that most things like that, like the basic building blocks of material actually are conscious, but they are. And in this particular channeling, he was referring to them as devas. Elementals, which are often thought of for air, fire, water, earth, and ether, and then beings. So what he's saying is that we have the ability to create different geometric patterns or shapes that influence our perception or physical reality. And not only can we do it, but the actual basic building blocks of matter themselves can do it, here referred to as devas. So he goes on to say that scientists observe the field mostly in the third density. Another way of thinking about that is a third dimension. As much of the science focuses on the physical characteristics at the quantum level. However, the field is very much multidimensional, existing in space-time simultaneously to signify there is no space or time. It just is. Consciousness interacts in the field or with the field simply to experience for the sake of experience and learning. So in other words, we're sort of going through this experience of creating a world around us, really just for the sake of learning and for experiencing. And then I asked the question, is this like a safe virtual reality room? Because basically what I perceived in the moment when I was hearing this information is that it kind of reminded me of the Star Trek series where they basically had like a holodeck on the ship, and you could go onto the holodeck and sort of program different, scenarios from the past into it. But it seemed to me that that's kind of what he was describing, only we might be doing it ourselves with our own thoughts. So the answer was, this is a good analogy based upon the technology you know in your space-time construct. Keep in mind, it allows for beings to create learning labs for growth and rebirth. So hopefully that helped. It helped me begin to get more of an understanding of, how he's defining the quantum field and how we have the ability to manifest in it. And I go on with other channelings getting into this topic in future sessions. Thanks.